Black Ops 6 has everybody talking, and for all the right reasons. Welcome everyone to another Sergeant Sentinel gaming review video. I'm SSG, aka Sergeant Sentinel, and today of course I'm talking about Activision's newest shooter, Call of Duty Black Ops 6. But before I continue, I want to say thanks if you're watching this video. I greatly appreciate it. If you do enjoy this video, definitely hit that like button. Share this video with others who enjoy gaming content on social media. It helps out the channel and I do appreciate it. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. Check out the other content on my channel and hit the bell icon so you can be notified when I upload new content, whether it's live streams or game review videos. Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is divided into 3 modes: campaign, multiplayer, and zombies. For this review, I'm only tackling the campaign mode as it's my most favorite. I did play the other two and I enjoyed them, and I think Call of Duty Black Ops 6 multiplayer is very solid and a fast, enjoyable experience, but I didn't want to go into too much detail with the multiplayer. Instead, I wanted to focus on the campaign because my favorite aspect of Call of Duty games is, of course, the campaign, especially when it makes you feel like you are experiencing firsthand a big budget Hollywood action blockbuster. And that's exactly what Call of Duty Black Ops 6 does. It places you in the role of essentially what would be a tier 1 operator, and it allows you to see this conspiracy unfold before your very eyes. You have a team of different specialists and different types of characters, and they all work with you to uncover this global conspiracy, essentially. Now, as you go through these different levels, you do have to get cash to upgrade your safe house, and I think that's an interesting aspect of it. It definitely adds depth to the gameplay, especially when these different aspects allow you to upgrade your characters, so you can do fast mag, you can carry more ammo, upgrades like that, and those really make a lot of sense, especially with how this game unfolds. What I mean by that is that this game does give you a lot of choices as far as how you want to proceed with some of these tasks. Other ones it doesn't, because there's a clear-cut way for you to accomplish this objective, but some of these missions require a little more problem solving, and you can rely on your team in order to help you figure some of this stuff out. You also play as different members of your team as they have different specialties. Some are tech experts, other ones are masters at infiltration and espionage, and you do have combat experts on your team, of course, that will help you basically figure out how you're going to tackle certain objectives in the most efficient and aggressive way possible. And in some of these levels, you definitely need to show a lot of aggression. Other ones you need to show more finesse, and you have to use a moderate amount of stealth in some of them to infiltrate. Now, you don't really have to use stealth in all of them, obviously, but in some of these levels you really want to use stealth, because by doing so it allows you to accomplish your objective much more easily than if you have to just go John Rambo and gun down 50 bad guys, you know, without suppressors on, with them alerted to your presence. Doing it the stealth way is easier, but it's not always required. One of the most interesting aspects of Call of Duty Black Ops 6 that really stands out is how it almost plays out like a spy movie, because if you remember, the Black Ops games aren't really known for this. It's more military action or sniping, but it's always from a military perspective. And with Black Ops 6, they definitely position it very much in the world of cloak and dagger, spies, and the Cold War, of course, has ended, but that doesn't mean that these types of operations or these types of missions have come to an end, and they explain that in the game. An interesting aspect of this game is that you have the ability to talk to these different characters, get insight as to what they're thinking, and for some of them that you're recruiting to your team for the first time, obviously you want to get a little backstory to understand their motivations, what they've been through, and just how capable they are. Now, that's not saying that these characters aren't capable, because they are, but you're just recruiting them to your team for the first time, essentially. And it does give, again, backstory to these characters and helps you see who they are and what really makes them tick. These characters are all very well designed, they're very compelling, and like I said, they each have their own strengths, but believe me when I tell you, every single one of them is extremely capable in combat. An interesting piece of tech that you actually pick up in Black Ops 6 from one of the characters on your team, his name is Felix, and he's a tech expert and hacker, is the camera. It lets you basically take pictures of certain objectives, but it also lets you tag enemies, kind of like how you would do in Far Cry. Now, I know what you're going to say. Well, I don't want any Far Cry elements in a Call of Duty game because it just doesn't belong. Well, this makes a lot of sense because, like I said, how it positions itself as a spy thriller almost. And the ability to do this with a camera is so tremendously helpful and beneficial in combat. And in some of these situations, you're absolutely going to want to see where the enemies are. One of my favorite aspects of Black Ops games is the inclusion of real-life historical figures as characters in this game, not necessarily as playable characters or characters you even interact with, although we have seen that in the past. No, I'm talking about characters that are placed in certain levels to lend some authenticity to when this game is supposed to take place. In this case, the former President of the United States, Bill Clinton, he is at an event that you have to go to, but it's not him that you have to interact with. It's another individual, and of course you're going to blackmail this individual. I'm not going too much in depth with what you're going to blackmail him with, but it is an interesting aspect of this particular mission, and that's not your primary goal. That's just a way you're going to get into a certain area that you don't have access to, and I'm not going into spoilers to tell you why you have to get there, but it's interesting that they crafted this level in such a way that you need that first, and then later on you rely on stealth and certain tech that you do get from Felix that is tremendously beneficial in accomplishing your mission. Now, the tech you get from Felix doesn't just help out in stealth missions or whenever you're trying to avoid detection. It does legitimately help whenever you're in combat situations. And of course, you have combat equipment like hand grenades and stims and stuff like that that gives you an edge in combat. But there's also tech that you can use to give yourself an upper hand on the enemies. And believe me when I tell you, in some levels, these enemies can seem almost overwhelming with how many of them there are, especially when they show up with assets like APCs, Armored Personnel Carriers. Now, there is a good balance of combat missions and, of course, James Bond type of missions, and both of them have redeeming, stellar qualities to them. One of my favorite missions is, of course, in the desert, where you're basically operating behind enemy lines during Desert Storm. It's phenomenal with how they put it together. And believe me when I tell you that all of these combat missions that you do go on tie into the heists and the James Bond type of missions that you're doing. It all makes sense, and when you're playing this game, you're going to be like, wow, that's absolutely genius. And that's, of course, why everyone is raving about Black Ops 6, because it's just so well put together. And like I said, campaign, zombies, multiplayer, it's all in stellar shape, and this is probably my favorite game of the year so far. But what are your thoughts on Call of Duty Black Ops 6? Is this a title that you were looking forward to? Have you wanted to play it ever since you heard about it? Or is it a title that you're kind of like, you know what, I'm not really interested in it. I might check it out later if it's on sale, or I don't really care about Call of Duty titles anymore. I completely understand. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about this title. And also, if you did enjoy this video, definitely hit that like button. I do greatly appreciate it. Anyway, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I do greatly appreciate it. If you did enjoy it, hit that like button. If you have something to say, leave it in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and check out the other videos on my YouTube channel. This is SSG, aka Sergeant Sentinel. Thanks again for watching, and take it easy, gamers.